admitted that he had written and then caused to be widely circulated an article criticizing the political system, its leaders, and what he said was their abuse of power. And while he could have been coy and suggested that his condemnation was broad and not specifically meant to single out Republican Party boss William Barnes, he chose to stand by every word and sought to prove that Barnes was in fact corrupt. As a legal matter, it was a defense far more difficult than it would be today. Roosevelt's attacks on Barnes were determined by the judge to be defamatory or libelous per se. Before the 1964 New York Times v. Sullivan case and its progeny, once that determination was made, if the defendant could not then prove the statements true, the only real issue would be the amount of damages awarded. Today, however, a political leader would have to overcome a far higher legal hurdle to even get to trial over a political jab. This type of public figure plaintiff would now have to demonstrate not just that the statement was defamatory, but would be obliged to prove that it was false and that the defendant knew or suspected it to be so. While the legal standards have evolved, it's startling to think that over 100 years later, Roosevelt's claim of corruption still resonates so clearly, and in some cases so directly today. After all, this case was always about much more than just a formal accusation of libel against Theodore Roosevelt. All involved recognized the political system as it existed at that time would be on trial. For Roosevelt, it was about defending a legacy he had carefully crafted and jealously protected. When the case began in 1915, he was still one of the most influential people not just in the United States, but on the planet. 3 years earlier, he had left a Republican Party that he felt cheated him out of the 1912 nomination, launched his own party and lost to Woodrow Wilson, but only after splitting votes with Republican incumbent William Howard Taft, who received roughly 635,000 fewer votes than did Roosevelt. Not surprisingly, coverage of the trial was ubiquitous and exhaustive. The New York Times alone sometimes devoted as many as 12 single-spaced pages to a day's testimony, much of it including transcribed notes from various witnesses. A legion of first-hand accounts allowed us to supplement and animate the words from the trial transcript as well. That's probably the most significant difference between this and our previous book, Lincoln's Last Trial, the murder case that propelled him to the presidency, which used a little-known trial transcript to tell the story of Abraham Lincoln's defense of Peachy Quinn Harrison. There, the handwritten transcription from 1859 included only sworn testimony of witnesses, and while there was extensive media coverage, it involved mostly terse descriptions of witnesses. That comparative dearth of information forced us to make certain presumptions about preparations, reactions, and even some of the arguments to the court. Here, everything is directly based on original source material, not just the complete typed transcription of each moment of the case, but rich descriptions in color from outside the courtroom from the nation's finest reporters. Legally, the difference in American law from Lincoln's days in court to this courtroom only 56 years later is also substantial. The system had become far more formalized and regimented. Gone were the footloose days of lawyers traveling on a circuit, taking whatever cases came their way. Specific expertise and location of practice had become critical factors in choosing an attorney. But these cases were also very different. The Harrison murder trial involved more limited strategic legal options, while in Barnes v. Roosevelt, the variety of choices shaped the entire trial. Despite those differences, we were amazed to once more find a truly compelling trial and transcript involving one of our great presidents, and one that appears to have become a footnote to history. Yet again, our goal was to bring that mostly forgotten trial to life. There's also some surprising overlap between the Lincoln book and this one. First and foremost, Roosevelt was a great admirer of a central character in Lincoln's last trial, Robert R. Hitt. Having been Lincoln's trusted transcriber during the Lincoln-Douglas debates and a pioneer in that field, he transcribed the Harrison murder trial, meticulously chronicling Lincoln's precise words in his defense. We told that story through Hitt's eyes and described how he